Hello and welcome. Today is the 21st of May 2023 and this is Pressing the Points podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matthew Techhio, and I am joined by...
the lovely Dack, as always. Well, very rarely when we can finally get around to recording these, but I'm not dead, so there's something, I guess. And also joined by our lovely friend up the north,
Jeffrey, ADS Arcade Kid Suttor. ADS?
AKA.
AKA. Jeffrey Suttor, AKA 80s Arcade
All
Kid.
you need to know is if you want to know something about the 80s arcade, he's the man to go to.
Well, we did Starcade last night, and I didn't know that much, but anyway, continue.
Let's keep pretending. So, it's been a while since we've had our last podcast, you've probably noticed. We've all been very busy. So we apologise for the break in all these episodes, but we are back. I wouldn't say better than ever, but we are back. So
Still alive.
Previously, I believe we'd talked about our favourite consoles and things like that. What I thought we should start with, because it's been a while, is just what we've all been up to, and we can start with Dack because he always has the most interesting stories.
Well, you'd usually think so, but old Dack's been pretty quiet. It's just freaking, the old working and hard-assing around and getting on the beers too often. Classic. I haven't been doing much. Obviously, not in the same place I was when we last did the podcast. So I managed to get my pinball machine and everything, which is pretty great, which is the
Lit
LE Stern, which I got back in 2016, I think, roughly. Apart from that, just, nothing exciting. Working, started playing the guitar a bit more. So I've got my guitars all out of storage, which is good. Apart from that, just, working, having a few beers. That's about it. How about yourself, Jeffrey?
So I've been not working and not getting any money. So I don't know. Look, it's been so long since we did a podcast. I'm trying to rectify in my mind where we were at. But I think I was still employed at the time. I'm not sure. I had this 12-month contract that got reduced to 6 months. So because the project didn't launch, so I've kind of been unemployed. I do have 6 weeks worth of work coming up. But what I've been doing is mainly being an arcade bum. I've gone to a few Netherworld things. I've played a lot of Donkey Kong as I do. 80s arcade bum. And we got the list of the Boda games. So I've had a crack at quite a few of those Boda games. Pang, in particular, I started to enjoy. The few to learn that I don't really want to learn, as usual. But our linchpin Neil won't be joining Netherworld for Boda, so we have to all pull our socks up a little bit. So that I also purchased a faulty DK board because it was an opportunistic buy, and we can get it fixed. I'm pretty sure. So there's another one in the family, and playing PUBG, which is my usual sort of go-to afternoon, evening gaming thing. So it's kind of like arcades during the day and PCs during the night. I feel like I'm retired, but I'm not retired. How about you, Matt?
Here we go.
Well, I'll try and keep it short. But like you said, it's been a while since our last podcast. So I was on a 7.5-week holiday in Japan, which maybe we'll touch on later. That was great. I've done a couple of other things in the meantime. I came into a big haul of Sony PVM monitors, or PVMs, not PV.
How many,
monitor? 12, which is cool, right? It was 4 of the smaller 9-inch ones, which aren't that useful to anyone, and the rest were all 14-inch ones, but they're pretty good. And they all take RGB and all that kind of stuff. So just sort of, because I was on holidays, picked them up, and
it was literally right before you left.
Yeah,
it was
literally
like
days
week before you left.
Days before I left, they turned up. So made myself a throne to sit in, and then said goodbye to them. I've been on holidays. So what is there? There's a lot to tell, but I can't say.
We'll get to that holiday story anyway. We'll find out a lot about that stuff.
I've been retired, but not retired.
Holiday retired.
Yeah, the old DK cabinet gets glanced at every now and again. Like I said to you guys the other day, it's kind of like the diet that's going to start on Monday. I keep thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to start playing, getting ready for Kong off, and I'm always like, I'm kind of like, it's actually
Weak as
a fun
piss.
thing to do. Like what we got. I've got the new Zelda game, which when you like, I know Matt's played a bit of it as well. But that's been taking up a lot of my free time. I was up to freaking, I think it was like 4:30 last night playing it, which was a bit much, but
I'd be dead right now if I stayed up to 4:30 a.m.
Yeah, no, I wasn't very keen to get out of bed and shower and get ready to do the podcast. But so part of my son's birthday was he wanted to get the new Zelda, so we got the collector's edition box, which my partner's got a mate that works at JB Hi-Fi, so we actually got a pretty good deal on it. So it comes with a couple of things. It also comes with like a little pin thing here, which I know Matt will probably know more about what I'm talking about, but it's got like the pins from the that come after each of the sort of
like your special powers in the game.
Yeah, your special power guys,
like your Rygar Incras.
Yeah,
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes,
the power ups.
Yeah, it came with like the metal case. I'm not sure if you got the same one, Matt.
Yeah, I got the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's got like the art book and
the art book is pretty sweet.
But with that game, like I only ever watched like the initial launch trailer. I hadn't watched any other clips on it or trailers, so I sort of went into it not knowing what the story was, what you could do, and things like that. So I've been pretty blown away with what they've been able to do with on top of Breath of the Wild. So it'd be interesting to see once I've sort of finished it. I'll sort of have a look up a few videos on YouTube just to see how creative some people would be able to get with the abilities that you're given, like with the fusion and stuff like that. So, but yeah, really loving it at the moment. I think I'm about 70 shrines in, but I'm sort of playing it alongside with my son separately. So we got up to a certain bit last weekend. So I haven't progressed the story any further from there. I've just been sort of exploring and stuff like that. But very keen to see the story progression and stuff like that. Because I've just been doing sort of side quests and things like that. But 10 out of 10.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man. That game is fantastic. My son's been playing it as well, and we're doing the same sort of thing, right? Well, I'm not holding back, and he's not holding back, but he was unwell during the week, so we had a couple of days off school. So what do you think he was doing all day? So I reckon there was a lot of sick people in the last week since that game came out. But
my wife had COVID, so yeah, there has been.
You should buy her a copy of Zelda. It's a magnificent game. Like I'm Jeff's the game dev here, and I know he doesn't play these games, but I'm sure that if he saw the absolute, I was going to say like the magnitude of systems that just sort of interact and allow the user to, manipulate the physics and all that kind of stuff, he'd be impressed with what, someone's able to pull off on a system that's quite old. And yeah,
it's like the plumber that never actually does any plumbing around the house, or the carpenter that never fixes anything.
You never game dev? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, that's disappointing.
But that's like with, like you mentioned, like the abilities and stuff you have, like these shrines and the way you get from A to B. Like it's not like one set direction. Like everyone who plays it probably does certain things completely differently than the other person. So the fact that I'll be able to create like an engine and physics that work that way, I think has been like. That's really been impressive to me.
Yeah, and the performance on it is actually pretty good. Much better than I expected. My son asks me every now and then, how did you do this shrine and stuff like that? And sometimes we find that we just did them completely different ways.
Yeah.
So. Look, it's not often you get a game of that quality, especially if it's a sequel. Usually sequels generally aren't as good as the first ones because the novelty's worn off a bit and they have to, really innovate to make a sequel. I mean, it happens every now and then. You get a sequel out that's better than the first, but this one,
it's actually a really clever tactic, I think, by Nintendo to embed Zelda and Nintendo games into your children, because they're at the age that you were playing them, and now you're the nostalgic generation that's pushing, dare say, the games onto them.
Oh yeah,
and they're enjoying them, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, how are they developing a whole new generation of Zelda players.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's clever, right, to try and do that. But to be fair, it was because my son watched his mother play the first one, and he actually asked, and he said, "Can I play that?" And we were like, "Oh, this is a bit complicated for you, you know." You're like, I don't know. He would have been like 4, you know, and for some reason he just persisted with it and just enjoyed it. I think he enjoyed the creativity of the world. You know, as a kid, you're trying to test the limits of things and stuff, and so he's like, well,
Little Big Planet had that, and Minecraft had that for my son.
Yeah.
It's got those sort of elements to it. Like if you're familiar with some of the physics you can do in those games, Geoff, it's similar to that.
Yeah.
It's sort of amplified.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, it's not new to use physics and create puzzles and people can, as long as they, get to the end result, you can do things different ways. That is Little Big Planet, actually. That's probably similar to Little Big Planet. But sounds interesting.
It is. The amount of things that you could just, like, if there's anything there, like, I'll grab this and I'll attach it to this, and you can make some crazy stuff. And it's good.
Very, very intrigued to see, once I've sort of played through it, jump onto like YouTube and just see what people, that have got half a brain could come up with. So, it'd be good.
Well, some people come up with, like in Minecraft, actually computer circuits they've built in Minecraft.
They make calculators and stuff, and you're like, wow.
Like, what the
Can't you put those, skills towards something better? Can't you cure cancer, please?
So staying on the the Nintendo category, obviously the new Super Mario World movie came out. Like I saw it a few weeks back with my partner and my son, and I guess Geoff hasn't seen it, but I'll grab.
Geoff doesn't like fun.
That one. No.
No, I'm kidding.
I like pain and misery when I play games.
Yes, I've noticed that. We all do to a point. So yeah, I went and saw it. I took my son and my wife, and we all went as a family just after we got home, because it launched a few days after I went on holidays, and then in Japan it was delayed, and it only came out like as I left. So I did catch a movie. Tangentially, I did catch a movie while I was in Japan. I went and saw that Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I wasn't expecting much of. Pretty good movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So was it in English?
Yeah, it was in English. So they do English screenings. Yeah, you can choose. Do you want to see it in English with Japanese subtitles, or do you want to see it dubbed in Japanese? So I said, I'll watch it in English because it's my native language and I'll understand what's going on.
I haven't had much to do with, the only thing I know about Dungeons and Dragons is that generally the people who play that game are very cringy.
Magic missile.
Some would say the same for people who play 80s arcade games, but yes, yeah, of course, it's deeply entrenched in very nerdy culture, right? But this was more of your Marvel movies, like your Iron Man and your Guardians of the Galaxy. It was more of like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so I don't know if you've seen those before. Yeah. It was like that, but just instead of having science fiction creatures, it was like, more, traditional.
Sort of like top tier actors, or was it?
Well, we were talking about the Mario movie. Mario is voiced by Chris Pine. Chris Pine's the main actor in that movie.
Chris Pratt?
Chris Pratt, yes, not Chris Pine. Chris Pine's the other Chris. That probably always gets confused for Chris Pratt. Yeah, no, the Chris Pratt's the one that makes money, right? Oh, I shouldn't say that. Chris Pine makes a lot more money than me.
I don't even know what Chris Pine is. What's he been in?
Star Trek, the reboot.
Yes,
Wonder Woman.
He's first. Yeah.
Don't ask me what else he's been in, because I don't know. But
back to the Super Mario movie.
Let's edit that all out, right? And we'll just go back to...
Continue. We love that bit. Come on.
We love my mistakes? Okay. Hey, I'm not perfect. Anyways, the movie's not perfect, but the movie's a lot of fun, right? Like, it's just stupid fun. It doesn't take itself seriously, but it takes itself seriously enough to say, look, it's kind of like a heist movie. Like, we want to break into a bank. We want to do this kind of stuff. But, yeah, it's just take Guardians of the Galaxy and swap the characters
I thought you were talking about the Super Mario movie for a second. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, we're talking Dungeons and Dragons.
He just had a moment there where that's okay. Drink your Red Bull. And yeah, I would just say, like, if you enjoy movies in general that are fun and whatnot, I would definitely watch it when it comes to whatever local blockbuster they have in Tasmania, or on a streaming service in Queensland.
Video Easy or whatever it is.
Yeah, get your Video Easy movie guarantee, and
Video City, mate. Good times. There you go.
yeah,
Matt knows what's up.
make sure you get the widescreen version. It's anamorphically,
Yeah, it's like one of the Star Wars tapes I watch. It's THX. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Of course.
It's on tape. Yeah, it's on tape too, which is pretty sweet. Anyway,
I've got that series on THX. I got Star Wars on pretty much every single kind of media you can think of. But anyway,
that was when Star Wars was good, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Continue. We're not talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Mario.
I've got something to say about Star Wars later, but
okay.
so for Mario, back to the Mario movie, I went and saw that as soon as I got back home with the family, and what can I say? It's a beautiful looking movie, right? Like, I've played Mario games all my life. I mean, even Geoff, who doesn't play console games, must have played a Mario game besides Donkey Kong once. Yeah, see, there you go. So
Super Mario, actually.
You have an idea of what the world looks like, right? There's mushrooms and there's all this kind of stuff. I think they did a really good job of bringing that into a 3D world that looked not uncanny, not repulsive to what you would imagine, right? Because it's very easy to take something that fans are passionate about and just not get it quite right, and then everyone, like the Sonic movie, when they first showed that, they showed the Sonic the Hedgehog, and everyone went, what the is wrong with this character? And they went back and they redid every scene he was in to change the character, right? So they didn't have that. Yeah, very good decision, and I enjoyed those Sonic movies. But it looks great. It was fun. My son had a ball. Said it was probably the favourite, best movie he's ever seen. I would say, keep in mind he's a child, so he hasn't seen The Godfather yet.
or the live action Super Mario movie from.
I've refused. I've got that on DVD or Blu-ray or something, but I won't let him watch it. Yeah. But I won't let him watch it. I told him he could watch The Wizard, but he wasn't interested in watching The Wizard. Geoff hasn't seen that. Geoff, you should put that on your list of movies to watch.
It actually is something I want to watch.
It's got 80s arcade games in it. So,
and the Power Glove.
Oh, it's so bad. Sorry. So for me as an adult, it was great from a nostalgia hit, right? Like, I'm seeing all these things and these cool references and that. If I could be objectively, a critic, I would say I'd really love a story in it next time. There was no story, right? But I can turn that part of my brain off just as a fan of the thing and say, I had a good time. My family had a good time. I hope they make more of these. What did you think, Dack, about it?
Yeah, I'm much the same. Like, I sort of, again, with critically, I'd say it's the story didn't really, it sort of just kept on jumping to try and get to...
Oh, yeah. It moved.
Yeah. So apart from that, like aesthetically, again, there was also like
it moved in levels.
A lot of little fan service things in there as well, like the I don't know if you would have picked up on it, I reckon, but I think when their phone was ringing, like there was the GameCube.
The ring
music and stuff like that. And there was a few like Donkey Kong, like cabinet arcade, like in the background, and they're playing and stuff like that. But I sort of think was quite odd would be like the end scene when they're fighting Bowser in the streets and it's just completely
spoiler alert. Oh. Yeah, keep going.
Mario fights Bowser again. Yeah,
surprise.
But like that end scene, I just found that kind of really odd. Like they might have been rushed for time because it was like they're fighting. There's this massive thing going on in the city, and there's not a single person around whatsoever apart from those characters.
Yeah, look, it's a bit weird, right? But it reminded me of the end of the first Sonic movie where he's fighting Robotnik in the city, and it's just like in the streets, and I'm like, is this how we end every video game movie, in like a street
boss battle? Come on, boy.
Yeah, that's what it was. Battle. I did like all the references that they were making, like the Duck Hunt references and the Punch Out stuff in the background and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of fun. There was a non-Nintendo reference at one point. I can't remember what it was, but it was like referencing a game from that era that wasn't Nintendo.
I think, before we get off the subject as well, look, I think the star of the actual movie was, I can't think what its name was, but it was like that really depressed thing
The
that was in the cage.
yeah, the star. Yeah.
Yeah,
The Luma.
like-
Luma. That's what they call
that's
Lumas.
it. Like some of the lines that busted out were pretty funny. Like I'm sure you would have found those
Yeah.
quite amusing. Like
It
especially
was.
like some of the kids might not get all the references watching it, but it's like, wow, this is dark, but it's funny as hell.
Yeah, I look, I think they did an admirable job. It's easy to make a bad video game movie, and they did not make a bad video game movie. It's no Double Dragon. It's no, what's another bad one that they put out?
Street Fighter.
Max Payne. Street Fighter is not a bad movie. Street Fighter is the greatest video game movie, and Raul Julia should have won a freaking Oscar. Have you watched that Street Fighter movie, Jeff?
What do you think?
I don't reckon you have. Okay. I'm going to send you a 40-second clip of that movie, right? You can spare 40 seconds of your life. If you don't watch that 40 seconds and go, that is Oscar-worthy.
I should like try and retroactively like petition for it. Just send like the clip straight to
Yeah, like a Lifetime Award or something like that. So, look, at the end of the day, I think they made a good movie. What I would like to see in the next one is maybe a little bit more depth and story. And what I would love is to see more Nintendo movies. Like, how hard would it... Like, someone at Nintendo must go, geez, it would be a really good idea to make a Zelda movie and make it in the form of, like, a Studio Ghibli movie with all those, you know, watercolors and all that kind of stuff. But... You know, I don't need what's a Urban Fighter movie or I really don't need a Kid Icarus movie or something like that. But if you want to make,
they need a Pixar director.
They need a
Where
good
story is key, story is heart. That's it.
They need a
Story.
good 3D animator, Jeff. I wonder if you know any that could go and work on these things.
Not really.
Oh, he doesn't have good ones.
Okay, so that's Mario movie.
Yeah.
I think we can put that to bed.
Yeah, so but Super Mario movie, Super Mario World. Oh,
I've heard of that place. Yeah, so on my holidays,
You might have been there.
I have been there and I had a fantastic time. So let me tell you about the whole experience, which is buying tickets are a nightmare, right? So you'll find out that if you want to buy tickets to, because it's part of Universal Studios, right? If you want to buy tickets to the American Universal Studios, easy. Beautiful system they've got in place. You want to buy tickets to the Japanese Universal Studios, they don't accept Visa, they don't accept MasterCard. So I got myself an Amex, which was exciting.
that's so weird.
Why? That's very odd.
Yeah, so apparently there's a whole bunch of places now in Japan that don't accept either Visa or MasterCard because there's some sort of argument with the payment gateway processor or something. I don't know. Anyways, long story short, I went through a third party. They only have a couple of companies that will sell you tickets, right? Internationally. So I went through Klook. I don't know if you guys have heard of Klook or used them before. Anyways, I got the tickets and, you know, they're not cheap, right? So on top of the tickets, which lets you into the Universal Studios, you have to buy tickets for the Super Mario World entry, right? So, all right, there's your first, you know, upsell. So then they go, all right, well, you can enter, but then you got to line up for all the rides and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So maybe you'd be interested in buying a fast pass or an express pass or whatever they call it for the rides.
The express line, of course.
Or, and they're like at least $200 each, right? So, you know, think of you got a big family or something, it's a lot of money.
Ooh.
So you buy those, but when you buy them, you can't.
So the express pass is $200.
Yeah.
Just
So you,
that part
so you
of it.
pay for the park, right? Then you pay. You can pay for entry separately and then line
That's
up like
insane.
a loser, or you can get this express pass each, right? And so they've all these different tiers of express passes, and the express pass will be like you can go on this ride, and this ride, but not this ride, right? Thankfully, the Super Mario ones are in most of the passes, right? But they'll also throw in something from like Jurassic Park or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not there for that. I'm here for Mario, right?
Yeah.
So I got the pass, and when you buy the pass, they tell you can go on this ride. So like the Mario Kart ride, which is fantastic, right? The Mario Kart ride, you can go between 10:30 and 11:30. If you miss that, get stuffed. You have to line up like a schmuck. But here's the thing, right? The lines were about 2 hours. But with my pass, they were like 5 minutes. So literally all I had to do was turn up at my designated time and I hit every single ride with like no stress. And that's the best experience I've had at a theme park in forever.
The most expensive, but the best.
But you know, you could go to Movie World and get on maybe one ride, two rides if you're lucky, right? At least with this, I was able to go, all right, let's go here. We've got another hour for the next ride. Let's go to the cafe. So they've got this beautiful cafe. It's called Toad's Cafe. And, you know, they make all the food look like it's the flagpoles and stuff from Mario. And the food was actually, you know, it's expensive, but reasonably decent. Like sometimes theme park food is crap. The world itself is beautiful. Whoever put the effort into recreating all these things, they're high quality. You look at them and you go, I could imagine this is being in a Mario world, right? Like when you walk in, the area's kind of not as big as you think it would be. But the way they've built it to go in and out and around and behind everything, there's a lot there to do. Like you could spend a day there. Then they ping you, right, again. So they get these wristbands that you put on, right? And they're about $30 to $40 each, depending on which one you get. And each one has a character like Yoshi or Princess Peach or Mario or whatever, right? And they're basically like little NFC things. And so when you run around the world, there's like challenges for you to do. So there's a phone app. You get your phone out and everyone in Super Mario World is competing against each other, right? So Team Yoshi's against Team Mario and you're against your son or your wife and all that kind of stuff, right? So you go around, you do all these challenges and the challenges might be like, hit this brick at the right time to make something in the world happen, right? You know, some Rube Goldberg machine go off. And so you do all these things and you earn coins and whatnot, and every now and then they tally the coins up and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's very interactive. All the rides, they're not like you sit down on a pirate ship and go up and down, right? You go in and they're all physical. You've got to do physical activities, which is really surprising, right? So they're all kind of AR, augmented reality games. So even the Mario Kart one, you get in the cart and you put down the visor and it's like a, you know, like a Oculus Rift or whatever. And through the glasses, you're seeing all the enemies come at you. So you can turn, look at the enemy and shoot them and stuff like that. And then while you're playing, you're earning coins from how many you shoot and you're competing against the other drivers and then you can throw bananas at them and all that kind of stuff. And then there's other ones where, you know, you physically, like they shoot bullets at you, bullet bills, and you got to duck under the bullet bills or jump over the turtles and throw things. And it's very impressive. Like, I guess a lot of theme park rides have been around a long time. They're tried and true. I feel like they did something different here. Something more modern. And
sounds very advanced, man.
Yeah, and I really love the fact, because it was packed, right? Like it was packed. That so many kids were being active, you know, instead of just sitting there and watching a show or something like that. You got to take part in it. And yeah, I just think they've done a great job. And I'm really looking forward to when they add the expansion, because there's going to be an expansion in Donkey Kong World. That should be great.
So, most importantly,
you got to jump barrels there or you die.
Did you absolutely thrash your son?
He cries. Yes, he cries. I'll say that right now. If you beat your son at the Mario Kart challenge, he will cry.
And you beat him a lot.
You can't be letting your kids win these sort of things. You got to teach them.
That's right.
Not everything's a participation trophy, mate.
It's a dog eat dog world, and you know.
I remember I let my son beat me once at Mario Kart, and I felt like he straight away went to the trash talk.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, all right,
rematch.
This is never happening ever again. I'll show you what your dad is made of when he's not letting you win, mate. This is a few years back. Now he's actually pretty good. Actually, I've got a clip that I'll share with you guys to chuck up on this, which is probably one of my favourite father moments of all time. So it's only like 5 or 10 seconds long. So it's my son was in first place on Rainbow Road. I'm in second place. Finish line say here, and again I'll share the clip with you guys. And then a blue shell comes, so I sort of veer off to the right. He gets hit with the blue shell about, I don't know, this far short of the finish line, and I'm just flying over the top of him and got first place. and it was golden. It's one of my favourite Mario Kart moments of all time.
And then you say, "Take that, you little."
Yeah. Like he'd school me now. Like my son would school me at Mario Kart any day of the week. But you know, you can't just give in. You know, you build them up, yeah, but you can't just.
Once they get to a certain age,
because the little passes get too good. All right.
Anyway, so I guess now we've arrived in Japan. So
But more than arrived, we just spent God knows how much money to get into Super Mario World and into the fast queue and have the band.
Pass though.
I got a special band too because it was 1 year celebration since they opened. And so for a few days,
Is that free?
No, that was more money. It was gold, so it cost more. They painted it gold. Yeah, so you know that's a collectible though, right? They said this band will only be sold right now. And there's no more. That's it. So I was like, well, I got to get it now.
That's your nest egg now, bro.
Yeah. So, yeah, Japan was great. Do you want me to talk more about Japan?
Yeah, that'd be, I'd like to, give us a rundown of the, I guess the main things that yourself would have wanted to see. Obviously the sightseeing, things that obviously the collectibles and stuff like that.
Do you want me to keep it video game related or do you just want me to just...
I'd like to know a lot about the more interesting aspects aside from just the video games.
Well, let's start just the day I landed. I was planning on catching up during my holidays with some of the Japanese DK players.
The Yakuza.
That's what Geoff calls them, but they're not, as far as I know. And the problem was that Japan's going through this thing where all its arcades are really closing because they used to have thousands and thousands of arcades in the middle of nowhere, right? People used to go and play Space Invaders, all this kind of stuff. Rygar, you know, all these games.
They still do.
So anyways, they're all closing down, and it turns out that the place I was going to meet them all at got announced that it was closing down. So I couldn't wait until the end of my trip to go there and see them. I had to bring it forward to like the first day I got there. So that was an interesting thing. So we arrived in Japan at night, and the next morning we went out in the morning, had breakfast and whatnot, and then I buggered off. My family went and did something fun, and I went to an arcade in the middle of nowhere called Daytona 3.
Daytona.
I guess maybe Daytona was really popular at some point, and they needed at least 3 of them. So I went to Daytona 3, and it was an interesting place, right? So it's not in central Tokyo. You go out a bit. You get there, you go downstairs into a basement, and it's huge. The basement is huge. And it was just full of arcade machines. And the majority of them were like shoot-em-ups or shmups or whatever you want to call them. This place obviously was a very much a high score kind of arcade. You know, people would go there. But you walk down the stairs, and the first thing that you see when you get downstairs is the Donkey Kong machine. It's all by itself, sitting to the side. And I'm like, that's weird. Why is that all off to the side by itself? Anyways, I go in there and, you know, I'm waiting for these guys to rock up. And then one guy rocks up, and he's the one that they've sent because he can speak English. Because and that's fair enough, right? Like, they all speak Japanese, I speak English. And this guy, he can speak both. And he says, look, I'm such and such. I've, written for the Japanese magazine Famitsu. I don't know if you guys are aware of Famitsu. It's the Japanese gaming magazine that's been running for 30 years or something like that. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to read EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly. That was like the Western version of Famitsu. So he's like, I've been working with games and the games industry a while, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to meet you because I love Donkey Kong and I'm pretty good at Donkey Kong, you know. I think he's come close to a kill screen or he's gotten a kill screen or something. And then one by one they started to arrive until His Grand Majesty Akuazu arrived. And the thing I learned about Akuazu is he's exceedingly good at the video games. Especially the machine there. He because they were closing down, he had arranged to buy that machine.
Was it actually a Donkey Kong machine, or was it a...
No, it's an Astro City.
No, it was an Astro.
And it actually had the Japanese version in. So they went and asked for the American version, because they had that. They put the American version in, and it was faulty all of a sudden. So we couldn't get it working, and we had to play on the Japanese one. So we just kind of, you know, there was a few of us, and we just kind of took levels at a time and had fun and talked a little bit of strategy. He'd say, "So what do you think about this and whatnot?" And I think I told them something they didn't know. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, off the top of my head, I was like, "Well, this is something that us as Western
if you
players."
sit off ladders, they'll go up.
Nah, well, it wasn't that.
The fallacy?
It was something else. It was kind of like if you grab the hammer on the pies at a certain time, the pies don't spawn at the top or something like that, you know.
Or you watch for the pie coming in or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyways, and so
just
that
to quickly interrupt them. So what's the main difference between like the Japanese and the US versions? Is like
the Japanese version, every level only happens once, and it starts at the start. So in the US version, you'll get the barrel board followed by the rivets, right? And then that finishes level 1. Yeah, on theirs, they'll go, nah, man, you get springs, you get everything. And the springs move so slow that the first time I tried to top shelf, I just fell to my death because it was still coming down. So there's that. There's less boards in total because of that. Because you don't do barrel board multiple times and blah blah blah, and it still has the glitches in it, or it's not hardened like the American version, so you can sit on a ladder at the top and the barrel won't come down. So watching them play the Japanese
version still has that.
Yeah, so watching them play that was blowing my mind because, you're thinking about what you would do and they're like, no, I'm just going up to the ladder and sitting at the top of the ladder. I'm like,
wow. So
they're really nice guys.
So I've never actually looked into, is there like obviously there'd be a high scoreboard for the Japanese version as well, but it's just not.
There actually isn't on Twin Galaxies that I saw. Maybe there was.
I don't think anyone really plays that one outside of Japan. I don't think anyone in Japan really plays that one either.
It's kind of like the cheap version, really. So
yeah.
Why would you play it?
You play the hard version because that's where the difficulty is, right? That's where the glory is.
That's where the ladies are at.
Yeah, exactly. All the hot ladies love Donkey Kong.
Well, Aku obviously played that US board for his 1.2 mil.
Yes, so that's why they have the US board and they swap him in.
Okay.
They're all really nice guys.
Yeah.
And they're very serious about, like I said.
They knew who I was.
What? Sorry?
So they knew who I was.
Yes, they knew who you were because of Rygar. So Japanese really do like Rygar.
They do. It's a great game.
I saw a few Rygar machines while I was in Japan, Geoff. Mm-hmm. I saw more Rygar than I saw Donkey Kong, I think.
Indeed,
Actually, no, I think I saw about the same, to be fair. No, I'm not walking that back. I think I actually saw 2 of each. So, but yeah, they asked about you, and I said you're a very good player in general. And they said that they had a friend that wanted to talk to you and help you get better.
Okay, best in the world.
Akuazu didn't try and make me better.
He's actually streaming. I watched a stream of his the other night. Like, it started at midnight, so it was a bit late. But he was just. It was good because I was communicating through emoticons. And you know how my stream's got all the Rygar emoticons. So he was like, "Oh, this is funny." He was. That was exciting. Jeff cannot go in one podcast without being racist. I was doing the point, but
that's not what Akuazu sounds like at all. By the way, Akuazu has a very manly voice. But yes, you have dishonored my family.
Exactly. Yakuza will come.
Anyways, I just wanted to say that they mentioned you, Jeff. They mentioned Ray Finkel, Justin, as an exceptional player. They were all accommodating. They were like, when you come back at the end of the trip, let's go and get drunk because that's what we really enjoy doing, playing video games and getting drunk. They were exceedingly accommodating. But let's keep moving on because otherwise I'm just going to talk forever, right? So I did a lot of the touristy things. I went to Kyoto, I went to Nara, I went to all those...
Gundam.
Yeah, right? Giant Gundam in Tokyo. I've seen it before, but, it's in a nice, convenient place where there's video games and lots of, memorabilia and kind of stuff like that. So I went there. It was packed in Kyoto. Don't ever go to Kyoto ever again. Or at least go there not during
spring,
the busiest time of the year.
There was at least 3 other people on Facebook, friends that I know, that were in Japan at the same time and literally kind of following your path.
Everyone
like-
is in Kyoto at the same time, and it was nuts. And I've never Tokyo is a city that is over 10 times bigger than Kyoto, right? There's 100 million people or something. I don't know what's going on in Tokyo or something, but there's like Kyoto's a city I think of like 2 to 3 million people or something. But there was more people there because everyone was a tourist than I've ever seen in my life anywhere. It was unpleasant. The place is beautiful, but what is the point if everything is anarchy? And some tourists are just absolutely disgusting. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Some people treat places like it's their personal toilet. That was something I saw a lot of in Japan this time. Like going around Akihabara at the video game shops and stuff like that. They'd actually put up signs that said things like, don't throw trash on the floor. Don't do this, you know.
Basic.
Yeah,
It's
don't...
like basic, you know.
Yeah, don't pick up something and then put it back somewhere else. You know, be respectful. Don't, just... I'll send you a screenshot. I took a picture of one because I was just so disgusted that people would behave. Like, I've been a lot of times in the past, right? And every time you go to one of these really popular places like Super Potato for video games or something like that, there's always other Westerners there, right? That's why I'm there, right? There's people going to take a look, seeing if they want to buy something because of the convenience, right? But the behavior of some people are so poor, or is so poor, because I can't speak English. The behavior is so poor that I'm disappointed. And I don't think it's Australians. I don't think it's Americans either.
Let me think.
No, I'm
I
not.
sort of wonder, like, what these... I know the sort of people you talk about, probably not to the extent that you're referring to, obviously, because I've never been to a place like that, but you sort of wonder, what are these people like day to day? Are they...
at home.
It's 24/7, you know?
Yeah, they're just horrible.
They're not aware of it? Like, are they just blissfully unaware? Cause
Maybe.
Simpletons?
A lot of it may be cultural, but, it doesn't matter where you go, right? There's always some bad people in society, regardless of nationality or anything like that. So, I mean, I had a room at one point that was next door to a whole bunch of French dudes who came in and they just made noise all night. Like, the rules of the house there are, after 10 o'clock, shut up. Because Japanese like their silence. And these dudes were making noise all night and nobody could sleep. And it's just like, we're all sharing this place together. Just be respectful of each other. So I did go to a lot of places that aren't usual places for Westerners to go this time. I went down to places like Sasebo, which is right down south. It's where they've got a big giant American base, like a Navy base there and stuff like that. So it was really weird being there because I kept running, just walking down the street and there's just white people constantly walking past you or African Americans and stuff like that walking past you. And you're like, this is just like being back home, but the rest of Japan is so homogenized that, most people, if they're a tourist, they'll be South Korean or Chinese or something like that. So it's, Asian. I know they're all different. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be racist there. But going to Sasebo and seeing a high percentage of Westerners was really weird. And it was a beautiful place. Nagasaki was beautiful. I went to the Northern Island as well. I went to Sapporo and that was great. We rented a car for a little while. I think we rented a car twice. And what we did is we went around to all of the regional second-hand shops where they sell video games and stuff like that, and anime figures and video game figures.
Where they're more reasonably priced and probably some...
Oh, God, yes. So it used to be that,
Whereas?
you'd just go from Tokyo to Osaka and Osaka would have better prices, right? But Osaka's just as bad as Tokyo nowadays. So if you go out to these regional places where nobody goes, and then you get a car and you travel 45 minutes out, the places that we saw there, the prices were at least half what they were in Tokyo. So, if you're looking at something that's worth $400 and now it's $200, it's... it costs you $100 for the car for the day or less, so... Yeah.
If you know what you look at the sort of stuff you're looking for and you know about these sort of places, like it's the sort of thing that maybe not your general, video game enthusiast that went to Japan. Like if I went over there, I wouldn't know instinctively, you need to go out to these places to find the real good deals. You'd just be like overwhelmed with like a lot of stuff you've never seen with these places.
And to be fair, Akihabara, which is where most people go, right? That's where the video games are. I noticed that there's a lot less. So I always go to this one place that's not one of the biggest, video games places. It's called Friends, and it's run by a older couple, a mum and pop video game store, right? And I went there and half the shop was empty. Like more than half the shop was empty. And this is usually a bustling, full thing. And I was like, is this A, because all the tourists have come through and just emptied out the shop? Or B, is it because I noticed there's a lot more big retailers doing it now? Like there's this company that came out in the last couple of years that are specializing in it. Have they bought up all the stock and run these people out of business? And in general, there's less video games in Japan now than there has been ever. A lot of the stores that used to sell video games have either closed down, downsized, they're half the size, or they've converted to like there's a lot of popular Japanese anime at the moment. Like their movie industry is not Marvel movies and, you know, whatever we got going, right? You know, Mission Impossible and stuff like that. Their movies now that make lots of money are their homegrown animated movies. Like there was a thing called Slam Dunk on at the moment, which is a basketball anime. And it was the biggest thing going on over there. And like, everywhere you went, there was anime figures, Dragon Ball Z everywhere, you know, all these things. And the games just seem to be shrinking. And I'm not happy with that. But, yeah, it really disappointed me because I've been going for so long. And every time I go now, I feel like, at least it's not, you know, it's probably catering to the populace. It's just not catering to me anymore. But I'm an old man, so...
So you think that'll be the last time you'll go there, or now you've been there twice, or
this is my ninth time, Dack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So will this be my last time? Probably not, but I think it will be a long break before I go there again. I'm not going to keep going every year or two. So back to America, I think I'm going to do a big American trip.
Conclash.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go to the Conclash while I'm there.
One day I'll get overseas.
You do all the time when you come to the
Have you not
Kong-off.
been to New Zealand?
He's been to
You do all the
Melbourne.
time when you come to Kong-off.
That's my overseas to the mainland, mate. Over
The mainland.
Which I would have
Stretching
been.
my
I
legs.
would have currently been in at this very point in time. I was actually going to be picked up from the airport by Matt here yesterday evening at 10 p.m. as I was coming over to see Mrs. and I made a spur of the moment.
Did you get your refunds on all your common stuff?
So we the tickets are, I think they're rescheduling. I haven't looked into the tickets, but I managed to get flight credits, which was handy because
No, I mean your com, because that's the one that's harder to change.
no, so I was just going to stay with my mate there in New Brunswick because again it was spur of the moment and going to see Skid Row and then got to about, I think it was about 1:30ish maybe yesterday, and they put up like a post saying their singer was unwell, so they had to cancel the gigs.
He's got skid marks.
Got him. So then we had to cancel that, and here I am sitting here
More
talking
like-
to you fellas instead of being in Melbourne getting ready for Skid Row.
Hey, Dack, more like Skid No, huh?
Got him. Hey.
Hey, wait a sec. I got something for that. Wait a sec. Ah.
Hey, loving it.
Classic.
That was good, Geoff.
So that's hence why we managed to get this podcast done today, which is a rarity to get me on my phone and organise stuff. So well done, boys.
Tell me
It's
about it.
good to see you, gents.
Yeah.
Jeff just laughs. Jeff just laughs. He's like, I'm not happy to see you, you pricks.
No, it's fine. It's a good combo always.
So,
So Japan. So are we at what else? Japan? Is it?
look.
Are we coming to the end of the trip now and heading home, or is there more?
look. If you want me to list all the places, it was crazy, right? Like I did not stop moving the entire time.
I did see you in a clown car.
Yeah, that was the car. I enjoyed that car. I would buy
that was
that
the one
car.
where you went to the regional places with.
I would buy that car in real life, Jeff. Like,
Yeah, right,
It's a little cube, and it was just, I basically drove all day, and I think my fuel bill at the end of the day was $8 because it's a hybrid car.
Hybrid.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe I should have a hybrid car because this is. Then I realized I don't drive anywhere. So, look, I went from the middle of Japan all the way to the bottom, then back up to the top, then back down to the middle, and I had a blast. I went to so many different places. I saw so many interesting things. I went to the
Anything to show? What have you got?
Hang on. I want to say, I also, besides Super Nintendo World or whatever, I went to a lot of video game themed cafes. So I went to the Kirby Cafe, and my son was so happy at the Kirby Cafe, he started crying with happiness. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was a beautiful place. Like they put a lot of effort into it. The food was a lot of effort and stuff like that. And he was just so happy. It was the last night before he went home. And I think just because he's had such a great time and he was in a place that he loved and they were playing the music he loved and stuff like that, he just was crying tears of happiness.
You've actually, you've given him something that he will remember from his childhood very fondly.
He will. And so we went to a Dragon Quest cafe for my wife. I also went, here's a tip. If you like video games, you like RPGs, right? I'm not into Dragon Quest, but my wife is into Dragon Quest. I think it's cool. I just never managed to get into it. There's a place called Dragon Quest Island, right? And you go there and it's a village that they've built. It's an RPG village, right? So, like in your RPGs, you've got like a tavern and you've got a weapons blacksmith and you've got all this stuff, right? You go in there and you're given a quest, right? So you go, I need to get a sword to go on the quest. So you go to the blacksmith and the blacksmith says, I can give you a sword, but I need you to go and collect this, this, and this from the field. So you go outside the town into the field, you fight some monsters. It's all done electronically.
This is a real physical...
Yeah. It's kind of like a what do they call those, escape room? You know how escape room, you've got to solve things, but it's on the size of a whole town. Place. Yeah, a whole town, but also outside there's a field. And so you go out to the field and they have these they've built these statues of monsters and there's like a little TV screen next to it and you swipe your little wristband thing and you fight the monsters like in an RPG and then you get the items and you take them back and then you'll say, I need this, but I don't know if it's in this. So you go around the village and you're like looking under tables and you're pulling aside, opening wardrobes, looking for the things, and then you're swiping your little NFC thing next to it. And you go on this big adventure, and then by the end of it, at one point you travel through time, back in time, and all this kind of stuff. It's really cool. That costs next to nothing, right? Yeah, and it takes all day. No, there is no express. As far as I know, there's no express pass for that. But that was super great. If anyone wants to do something for like a day with the family where you just all have fun, that was it. I had fun. I don't know where we were going. Sorry, what was the question before I interrupted with that?
Oh no, I was just saying, was there any other Japan-y things? I guess there was
there was a lot. There was a lot of looking at temples, man. There was a lot of looking at
and showing stuff.
Showing stuff. Look, I got some stuff. I mean, this doesn't work for our audio listeners. Bits? My favourite bit of Japan.
No, your favourite bits of stuff that you got. Like I could put pictures up if you give me pictures.
Look, yeah, I'll give pictures for the people, but this was my favourite thing, and this isn't going to thrill a lot of people, right? This is from my favourite show as a kid, and this thing here, it transforms into a row. I'm not going to transform it here because it's a pain in the ass. It's highly articulated, right? So the whole thing. This cost like $400, but if you wanted to buy this on eBay, it would cost a fortune. Like, there's no way I'm buying one of these on eBay, but I've always wanted one, right? And so I bought this ship. It's from Macross for the audio viewers. It's called a Valkyrie, and I'm very pleased with that. My wife bought a lot of Persona characters. That's an RPG that she loves, and we've been buying characters here and there over the years. I bought this little Phoenix Wright. I don't know if you've heard of Phoenix Wright, Geoff?
No.
Or Dack?
Well, this is the thing, right? In Japan, you can buy all these little knick-knacks from things you're interested in. You never find anywhere. Oh, yes, of course.
He's a lawyer.
Judge.
He's the lawyer.
The lawyer thing.
Yeah, and he goes, take that. Anyways, I saw this guy sitting there, and he was on sale, and I was like, that's cool, man. I'm going to put that up on my board. And so I bought, even you can see what I'm wearing right now. This is a Mega Drive jacket. I don't know why I bought that, but I bought that, and then Grandia a t-shirt. Grandia is an RPG that hasn't had a video game in 20 years or something.
Yeah, so it's that kind of stuff.
Those are the things. Yeah, and just drink bottles. So I went to the Nintendo Center, right, which is also packed. And
Did you get any ashtrays?
No, I didn't get any ashtrays. No. I got this. This is a Metroid thermos you drink from, and it looks like an energy power up from. That's cool. So these are the kind of things that I was trying to get. this here is when I went to the Capcom store, they had like Resident Evil umbrella tablets.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, it's just candy, but it was like, you know, pills. So
It'd be easy to go overboard with just knick-knacks.
oh yeah, just knickknacks everywhere. Like I bought a lot of soundtracks. Like and this little guy here, if I can get
Did you
him
get
on
me the Rygar soundtrack?
No, it was so expensive. It was like $150
That's
or
'cause
something.
everybody loves it.
No, because it was a Taito soundtrack, and it just had one Rygar. Because it said like 2 songs in Rygar. But I bought a lot of soundtracks. I always buy soundtracks when I go. So this is the Bayonetta 3 soundtrack, and that is 8 CDs. That is a beefy boy. But yeah, just you know, you can probably see in the background. Everything here at the top level is soundtracks.
So this is 9 years worth of trips? Or 9 trips worth of...
No. There's display cabinets everywhere, Geoff, please. But like, you know, little knickknacks is what I was after. Things that I probably wouldn't get in Australia, like a little music box from Nier, like a RPG thing, you know, you just turn it and it plays music. And that's what I was after, because I don't need to buy video games anymore, right? Video games nowadays come out everywhere, and the ones that didn't come out, I've already bought them by now. I don't need things like that. So it was just little things like, you know, like you put in $1 and out comes a little 100 yen arcade thing, and it lights up. You know?
Oh, dude, that's beautiful.
How good is that? So little things like that, little miniature Mega Drives. I found a little watch. I put like $3 in a gacha machine, and it was a little watch that was like a PlayStation 1, and you could open it up. And yeah, just little knickknacks is really what I wanted. The one thing I didn't get that I wanted was a Taito spinner for playing like Arkanoid and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would have been pretty amazing.
And I looked everywhere for one because I was ready to lay down some big bucks on that.
Yeah.
But
Just get an Octamark in the end.
yeah, I know, but it was the dream.
They work well with the Mister, so
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to use it for. So
yeah. Because otherwise you're going to be looking at an optical one, which has got
nah, we're not doing that.
No, it's all USB. Yeah,
That's right.
Bro.
Anyways, it was a fantastic time. Definitely, you know, the Square Enix Cafe let me down. It's never been the best, but it was all right. The Capcom Cafe wasn't having a good theme when I was there. It was like Monster Hunter or something. But there's just so much to do that, regardless of what you're interested in, it's not like here in Australia where if you go into the city, what are you going to go? You're going to go to Maya and you're going to buy something? I don't know. You know,
it's like interesting shit.
like on the last day where we went to that Kirby Cafe, right? It was the first day I opened up my phone and I opened up Pokemon Go, right? Because I, you know, used to play it, 5 years ago or something, right? And I clicked on the thing and it told me that there was a real life one of those Macross Valkyries sitting right where I was. And my mind blew, right? I'm like, what is this? I need to know, like, it says I'm sitting on top of it. Granted, I'm on like level, 25 of this building or something. Where is it? And so I'm trying to Google, what the hell is this? And it turns out it was in like their Institute of Technology and Robotics or something. And they had a display downstairs. And I'm like, we have to go now. I know we're going into the cafe in an hour, but I need to find this or I'll never be happy in my life ever again. Yeah. and we found it. And I'm just standing in front of the thing and I'm just like, how can this exist? Like, this is a city where whatever you're interested in, you're going to have it. So if you haven't been to Japan or you haven't been overseas before, it's probably like the easiest place to go because your English is going to carry, right? Like if you spoke Italian and you go to Japan and you speak to someone in Italian, they're going to like look at you like you're a crazy person. But if you go to Japan,
you're Italian, so.
Yeah, so you don't care, right? You just yell at them louder.
I don't care. I don't.
Yeah, stronzo. But if you're English, you can go over there and you can go, hey, I want a, cafe latte. I want a coffee. I want whatever, and they're like, yeah, no worries, you want that, with milk or whatever. So bad example, but you get what I'm getting at, right? Like you could stop someone and you could say, hey, where's the station or something like that, and you'd be okay. And the time zone is good.
Say konnichiwa and arigato gozaimasu.
Exactly.
Good, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple of words you probably need to know, but because the time zone is almost the same as Australia, everything is sweet.
Yeah.
Definitely need to go. I've been skiing to Sapporo, but I've never actually gone there during like a summer and just been a tourist. That's it.
See, what we should have done is we all should have went, the three of us.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of like where's things, we could mention where's the beef? Neil getting his did get that recent kill screen at Netherworld, which wasn't
Legend.
far off Barra's.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And he's made some really nice overlays for AKO, by the way, for the player cards. So it's like, he's going to have a picture of the player and their stats down the side, how many kill screens or what the highest PB is, all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it looks good. I saw a sort of preview of it. So the presentation this year should be good. Sorry, continue. Yeah, so he went and got a kill screen, just a casual one. I played with him last night after Starcade.
Hang on, you played with him?
Yeah, I did. And he's quite big. I mean, he's quite good. No, he's a very tall guy. He's... No, we didn't do very well at all. We were doing... Him, Mike Corligan and myself were doing... We started off just doing like... I think it was a board each, and that didn't work very well. And then we started doing like, well, if we'll do a level each, but if you die, you swap and finish that level and then do the next level kind of thing. I think we got to around about 200k and just like, it was just, it didn't work.
Neil's an exceptional player in general at so many games.
Yeah, but he's not going to play at Boda because his wrist is really dodgy this year. And,
what happened?
Probably the Strikers 1945 shmup world record. I don't know. He's got a dodgy wrist or a hand or something, so he didn't want to aggravate that.
I just remembered, didn't someone set a world record on Nibbler a couple of days ago?
They did. So they took the Kibler's world record off him.
Yeah.
But it was only by a couple of 100,000 too or something. It was like...
Why would you want to keep going?
I'll play... I know. But, I'll play for 59 hours or whatever it takes to get there on Nibbler. What the fuck is Nibbler?
Exactly.
And then I'll go like an extra half an hour. It kind of seems like you're just poking someone and going, okay, now you go and do that effort again and go for an extra half hour. And then, so it seems like the world record on Nibbler now comes down to obviously the skill to be able to play it and know how to manage your lives. But it comes down to how long can you be awake? How long can you sustain focus and play this game? Because it's going to get shorter and shorter if people keep going for the world records on it, surely. Because it's going to be like, I only need to beat it by 10 seconds and 10 points and I got the world record. Okay, I'll do that. It's a mammoth effort that I'd never attempt to do.
I sort of feel like for something like that, you'd have to be like, if you're going to do it, you're doing it once. That's it.
And maybe that's what it is. I had the world record. Someone made a quote. Where did I see this quote yesterday? It was on Kong League, and it was made by Justin from someone else. And I'm going to go look at it right now.
I'm on the edge of my seat here. Let's go.
Yeah. No.
Well, there's only one person I think who could probably go longer than that, and that would have to be Todd Todgers.
What about Boner? Boner could do it.
Boner's already done his 39-hour...
but 39 hours is not 59 hours,
And that's nothing compared to what did Todgers do, like 160 hours.
Vanguard, yeah.
Please, we all know the real story.
He's non-human.
It is the human element. You know that. It literally is the human element.
The human element. I forgot. Yeah, so there is the human element. He's just unbelievable.
A force of nature. Oh, was it Fathom? It wasn't Vanguard. It was Fathom. Yes,
Fathom. That's the one.
Beautiful. What did we work it out to be? Something like 114 VHSs. He must have recorded that on.
Put it on the crate. Yeah.
Yeah, the pallet to Walter's house.
It was. We worked out. Someone worked out it was like 2 weeks of constant gameplay, no breaks. Like that's God level.
Yeah, that's nobody's ever going to beat that one. That's a lot of meth to have to take to stay up that long.
So I feel lucky that Todd just doesn't play nil. I'm just putting that out there. Anyone who's thinks they're happy with their 59 hours, Todd just could go another 100 plus hours on something like that.
Can I ask you something, Dack?
I can't find the quote,
Your
forget it.
Pac-Man in the background. Does that not have an attract mode?
Yeah, I put it on free play mode the other week. Haven't been bothered turning it back on.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about your CRT.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to turn it off once we get off.
Hey, and just by the way, if you ever need to offload that, just let me know.
Okay, we'll do.
Thanks.
Still need to get the backlight for my marquee on my Donkey Kong. I still haven't got around to putting that in because I can't be bothered.
I understand. Arcade ownership is a tiresome thing. I assume pinball ownership is 10 times worse.
Yeah, as long as you sort of keep on top of things. I'll go turn the Pac-Man off just for your viewing pleasure here now, Matthew.
Yeah, I can't find the thing I was looking at. So
No, viewing wise, it's beautiful. I just I worry about you. You know. I think you should invest in a wireless power adapter for that.
There you go.
Okay, so conversation.
Where were we?
Well, we just. I guess we've finished up to Pan. I don't know if there's much more you want to.
No, look. There was a lot to talk about, but I think
Do we
just
have a run
bore
sheet,
people.
boys? What's next?
Yeah. Well, we've gone to Japan. We've got shout out to Neil, who I reckon will be a force to be reckoned with consistency at the Kong off. Obviously, probably one of the biggest things that's happened this year is KFC have just brought the mashies back.
Oh yes.
That's pretty exciting stuff. Really.
The what back?
Mashies, mate.
They're like mashed potatoes, but they deep fry them.
Gravy in a bowl.
Yeah.
But I think that's about pretty much it. We've got obviously it's about time for story time with Geoff, I believe.
Story time with Geoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you got for us this week,
well,
Geoff?
I think we've talked a lot about the game development side of things in general, right? I think the last thing we talked off, we were talking about like unfinished games, Avengers, Warhammer, all that kind of thing. But something we've touched on a few times that we never really, I don't think we talked about, was pretty much animation stuff, like in when I was living in London.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
So a couple of stories there. So as a kid, the arcade games drove me, and I particularly like the graphics about them, and that kind of drove me into the Amiga at home, which was a graphics computer we've talked about before. That you had consoles, I had the Amiga. I was into graphics and animation, and that drove into obviously a career. And I think it was just in 2000, the year 2000. Yeah, just after the year 2000. I can't remember exactly when. There was the IRC was a big thing. You communicate with IRC rather than Messenger or anything, or IRC communication. And in the Lightwave channel, this French guy had a project that he was working on. It was a pilot for some French story thing. I think it was funded by some, Geneva Prince or some shit. I can't remember. But it was in the Annecy in France, right?
So did the Amiga survive Y2K?
Everything survived Y2K, mate. It wasn't a thing. Y2K was the Microsoft thing, and Amiga's definitely not Microsoft. So basically, wife and I were kind of like, ooh, like this opportunity came up, and they were going to fly me to France for, I think it was like 8 weeks or something, and work on this pilot animation thing. And this is like the first, like I've had a steady job doing like corporate logos and animation, kind of, pretty interesting stuff for corporate videos and stuff. And all of a sudden there's this opportunity to go to Annecy in France. I don't know if you've ever been to Annecy, but it's this Lake d'Annecy is this massive lake, and it's a big tourist destination for Europeans in France. And they had this studio there, and it was like, hell yeah, you're going to pay for my airfare there and back. And I quoted like a UK kind of US price for the work that I did, and we just made a decision in like a month. I literally flew to Canberra to get a passport, waited in the passport office all day to get this passport so I could fly that weekend. flew into Lisbon. They picked me up, drove me to Annecy, and I worked on this thing in Annecy for 2 months. And my wife came over after a month and drove through France. So I'm talking about a life story here rather than the animation stuff. But it leads to, when we were there, we went, well, why don't we just go to London? Because my wife's sister lived in London, and so we just instead of coming home, we jumped over to London and lived in their place for a month and started looking for jobs. And my wife she was a pharmacist, and she did you got to do a year of something before you can be a fully fledged pharmacist. But she ended up getting a job at in one of the Royal London Hospital. And I, within 2 weeks, had a job at a place called Passion Pictures, which was not very heard of. They'd done a movie, what is it, The 1 Week in September or something, which is about the terrorist thing that happened at the Olympics once.
Okay, yep.
In Lebanon or something, I can't remember. But there was in Israel, I can't remember. It was a documentary. But this place had started up, and were known for their traditional animators. So they did. One of the head guys there had worked on Roger Rabbit, and so I went to London with my my Amiga showreel of doing my graphic stuff and my corporate stuff and a bit of stuff that I did for children's television at a place called Blue Rocket here in Australia. Sounds like porno, but it's not. Blue Rocket Production. They went to Tasmania. But I had two job offers. One was at a place doing another television series about buses, busy buses or something like that. The other one was this other place called Passion Pictures, and the idea of working for someone who had a lot of traditional animation and what I could learn there was really interesting. And funny enough, they had an Australian director who'd lived in London for ages that was working on this music video stuff, and his in-house, they were doing the first Gorillaz music video, which was Dirty Harry or Clint Eastwood, whatever the song's name, I got problems in my head. The one at the graveyard with all the Gorillaz. And they were actually just finishing that clip. I think I got to work on the intro sequence where it kind of zooms up into the castle on the hill kind of stuff, and a bit of that. But so I worked on that bit of the first Gorillaz, and they went straight into doing the next Gorillaz video, which was 2000. It's the one where they're in the buggy and they're doing the loops and Shoe Shine and all that kind of stuff. And there's the big big moose that they fire rockets at. So we did all that stuff. It was great. It was this tiny team. There was a guy that was an animator off Corpse Bride. He was a traditional kind of hand, puppet animator. And he was just learning this software that we were using, which was on PC, but it was Lightwave and what was called Project Messiah, which was the character animation things. And he was learning kind of 3D animation, but I was learning all these sort of traditional technique stuff off him. So it was great. And then we had another newbie guy, and he's still there. There's guys that are still there 20 years later, which blows my mind. They've lifetime careers at Passion Pictures, but they were doing this stuff that was kind of innovative at the time in terms of music video. And they had another section that were doing the Coldplay videos. So the one, it's all 2D graphics and it's filling up with water. So Coldplay was sort of coming on the scene, Gorillaz were coming on the scene, and then one of the other clips we did was for Robbie Williams, which was a clip called Let Love Be Your Energy, which was a 3D animated version of Robbie running through these landscapes and meeting these kind of women and then breaking it off with them, and etc.
Yeah.
And I remember them saying, we're going to do a Robbie Williams clip. I didn't know who the fuck Robbie Williams was. I thought, Robin Williams, that's going to be great. We're going to do Robin Williams is do some project with Robin Williams. And no, it wasn't the comedian. It was this guy. And apparently he was in rehab. And they wanted to release a song. So they went, we'll do an animated clip. So I never got to meet him. The director obviously did, and they did some. But the good thing about that video, it was sent to an event called SIGGRAPH in the States, which is a big graphics conference, and for video, computer graphics at the time, and they sent us all over there, and we got a I don't know if we got an award, but it was shown in the theatre, and everybody loved it. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard, cruising down in our convertible and stuff, young guys. But at the end of the Robbie Williams video, we were allowed to do outtakes, and the outtakes could be extreme because they were going to be post Watershed, which means they get played late at night, where you could do other stuff. But we all got to direct our own. So this wasn't. So in animation, traditionally, the director has vision for the project and directs every shot, and you're an animator, you got to do that. You put in your little bit of creativity, but he says yes, no, change this, do that. But for these outtakes, we had like license to do whatever the hell we wanted. So that one of the biggest things were the outtakes. Like everybody remembered the outtakes from this music video, because there was nudity, there was erections, there was girls bouncing off erections, there was sharks eating Robbie with his little peony that shrunk in the snow. It was just weird as shit because we had free reign.
We'll have to look these up.
Yeah, you'll have to look at post Watershed or Robbie Williams outtakes.
You still got his 3D file, Can you load him up and make him do all kinds of things?
I probably do somewhere, but no, I haven't bothered. And it was in the software that's sort of discontinued.
Can I ask you a question, Geoff? Yeah. You've worked at a lot of high quality places for animation. How come you've never sat down and said, I'm tired of working for the man. I'm going to make my own video game or something. And
it's too much work.
But some people do it. Some people you don't have to shoot for the moon. You don't have to make a 3D Avengers game. You can make yourself a 2D,
Yeah, I always
scroll.
wanted to do, I have the full collection of the Asterix and Obelix competing, the cartoons that you used to read in school.
Yep.
Well, I used to read in school, in the library.
My son has those, yes.
Yeah, Asterix Obelix. So the full, and I always wanted to make Asterix Obelix 3D movie because they did 2D ones that were kind of shit. Live action one with Gerard Depardieu, and they were just.
He pissed himself on a plane. Just want to share that with you.
Yeah, probably because he drank one. But then I think it was quite a while back now. But they did Mansions of the Gods, which is one of the books, as a movie in 3D in some French studio, and I was like, that's the thing I've always wanted to do for 10 years. So as soon as someone did that, I was like, oh well. They've done the thing that I wanted to do as an animated cutout, because that was a story, and those storybooks has really influenced me as a kid and wanting to, interested in cartoons and animation and stuff. But yeah, look, it's a lot of work. Any production, it's like building anything, building software, building games, building infrastructure, building anything. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of disciplines that are required. And sure, you could do an animated short by yourself. I had a friend, Tom Taylor, who tried to do an animation that I think spanned about 15 years of work. So by the time he sort of got it out, it was like, well, it's kind of old hat now.
Chinese democracy by guns.
Yeah. So just producing something is a lot of work. You need to really have a good plan and execute it in a small amount of time with a certain budget, and just if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I've never really wanted to take that financial risk either.
That's fair.
Like it literally is like remortgaging your house to do a film or do something. Mm-hmm. And it's a crapshoot, especially games. Games are a real crapshoot in terms of. But if you got in at the early days of mobile gaming on the phone, like Half Brick did here in Brisbane, like that guy.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name, but Chenille. But they made a lot of money. But no, working for the man's always been there. But I don't even want to work for the man anymore, mate. I just want
to none of us
video
do.
Games and I'm still 15 years off retirement. It's like
And do you know what could have made you a lot of money, Geoff? Playing in the AFL.
Oh, okay.
I was going to go with drug dealing, but yeah, okay.
Okay, here's a mind-blowing story, right? So I obviously got a lot of facets to me.
Oh yes.
When I was very young, like when I was 15 at school, there was two things that I was good at. One was video games, and I was into. I had my nerd side, but the other one was
masturbation.
Sport, probably that too. But
I'm still pretty good at that.
I was the kind of kid that was just and I'm going to say it. It sounds egotistic, but naturally gifted at sporting. So you could throw me in. Yeah, it
No,
just
I
sounds.
don't think. Oh, imagine him doing sports.
I've got to
Yeah.
admit, when I
Careful.
envision you, Geoff, you don't strike me like maybe a cricketer from the
I'll
'80s.
show some.
You know,
Maybe there's some
The
clips or
splits.
pictures. But I used to win every school carnival from primary school to high school. Did little athletics for many years. Lots of different fun runs. But I got into when I went to Deniliquin, which was sort of southern New South Wales, right on the border near Victoria. Obviously, AFL was the thing. Condobolin. My dad moved around a lot as Western Lands Commission, Soil Conservation, all these different government departments. And in Deniliquin, he was water resources. But in Deniliquin, it was pretty much AFL territory. Big. The Murray League was known for developing a lot of football talent. And in those days, they had really good systems to take that talent and train them up and put them, in Premier League kind of situations in the AFL. And I used to play for a place called, there was like the Deniliquin, there was a minor league, and then there was the kind of bigger league, which is the Murray League, where I played for Deniliquin Rams or Denny Rams Football Club. And beyond, not knowing it, they obviously had scouts at that time that would go around and look at the players and look at the potential of different players. And I only just kind of started playing, and I was a centre half back. So we're talking football here. We're talking AFL. A centre half back is a very defensive position. If you don't know, you probably do if you're anywhere south in Australia. And you had to be fast. You had to be very defensive. You had to know how to get the ball and pass, get the ball out of the centre on the bounce. You had to, take it up the wing or give it to the winger. And basically, you had a lot of responsibility to get the ball back into your forward position and defend it against the other forwards. And so I did that, and I enjoyed it, and I did it well. But I also had sort of the gaming side of me. So two weekends ago, I can't remember how long it was ago, I was visiting my parents, my dad and my mum, and my sister's there at the moment because mum's sort of getting into the dementia kind of stage of things, probably my future. And she's there and helping to look after my mum. And my dad told me a story about when I was younger, how some scouts from North Melbourne, which was the affiliated sort of link to Deniliquin and Murray League, had approached my parents. I gathered my mum because she always went to the games. And they wanted, and this blew my mind, they wanted to take me to Melbourne, put me up in obviously some kind of accommodation or schooling, finish my schooling and train for North Melbourne.
Wow.
And my dad at the time, like, I don't know if this kind of stuff happens and then within 6 months they go, no, he's not working, see you later. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of that kind of stuff. But the opportunity to do that was presented to my parents. I did not know about it.
So how did they
I was never told about it. My dad told them that I was too young. They were concerned with the lifestyle of football players, and he was too young to go off and live, under chaperone or whatever the hell they do in one of these, situations. Boarding, I guess it's like boarding school, right? Go to boarding school.
So I would have thought they would have approached like your coach, and then the coach would have been relayed that information to.
They may have, but they have to keep it. This is a parental decision because, the child is a child. I was, 15 years old. I can't remember what age I was there. It was the fourth division, or thirds. And it was before you get to the second division where they're like all 17 and 18-year-olds. So, yeah, it was probably 15, 16 kind of age. And, yeah, my parents made the decision that I was too young and that, if Geoff wants to pursue this, maybe it can happen later. It's never going to happen later. As soon as that opportunity is gone, it's gone. And so I was into computer games and I actually stopped playing football and I just got nerded out. And that's where my sort of career went, down into video games and animation stuff, which is great. I love it. But it makes you wonder.
Life would have been completely different.
Sliding doors, like...
Yeah.
And then my sister said, oh, well, you could have done both. It's like, shut up.
When are we getting your sister on the podcast?
She's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, so probably never.
No, that sounds great. That sounds actually the kind of thing we should have
not
on
really.
here.
She just
special episode.
Yeah,
So Geoff tells me you're a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Tell me a little bit about that. That'll go down well.
Yeah, my sister's 6-year-old. I mean, she's not my big sister.
Does jet fuel actually melt steel beams or does it not?
What?
That's the World Trade Center, Geoff. Please get with the conspiracies.
Yeah, but I don't think they ever do that. So yeah, there's another story. I've just told you 2 stories.
Wow. Well, we had a bit
So
of
this
a
all
story to
paints a
cover.
picture of the Geoff life from early days through to computing and Amigas and animation and games.
It's
So there you
amazing
go.
where the
we over?
life takes you. No, I was just going to say.
It is.
Yeah, like it is a bit of a sliding doors thing there, Geoff, because imagine just how different the rest of your life could have been just from one little thing like that.
Yeah,
you know?
apparently that also my age would have put me in the same team as like Wayne Carey. I don't know how if that's a good
Yeah,
thing or a bad thing,
lifestyle
but
choices.
that team was the team that I would have been in as a centre
Make
half
it-
back.
make it
I don't even
good.
know who the centre half back is.
You'll
but
always be
the
my
thing is,
best and
You know what,
fairest.
the thing is, your brain goes on that journey of I would have been that player on the field, but in all likelihood, it would have been go down there, either make it or not, and get sent home. You know what I mean?
And Wayne Carey could have been sleeping with your wife. So
Wayne-
Exactly.
Hey,
That's
hey.
what I was thinking. That could have been the outcome.
Wayne Terry could have been the 80s arcade kid. Like,
you go.
how different his life would have turned out if someone had taken his job.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually-
What? Because he was forward. He was full forward, right?
Geoff, it's sport. I don't understand sport. Esports is where I'm at.
I'll tell you what is kind of exciting to transition from there is that in less than 2 months, gentlemen, we'll be all in the same vicinity together for a few days at least.
Eating chicken wings and chicken burgers and Korean fried chicken. Yeah.
Oh,
What?
sounds
Oh, you
good.
mean Kong off?
Smoking darts, going to 7-Eleven,
B-pack.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that far away.
That's not that far away. Because what happened, like I was sort of a bit of a blessing in disguise, I guess, with like not being able to go to Melbourne. Is that now got like flight credit to put towards the return trips to Brisbane. So at least that's sort of half taken care of. For the amount of money that I earn, it's sort of like something like the Kong off is something that I have to scrimp together to be able to make that sort of event, but it's going to be great. So that's on, I think, is Kong off 16th, 17th?
Yep. Always middle of July.
Yeah. So what have we got there? So we got the level 3 comp on the 15th, a Friday night, I believe. It's the same structure, and then qualifying Saturday the 16th, and then the finals on the
17th. Same
which is
deal.
all going to be streamed on the
And much beer drinking. And there's also the arcade championships that happen the week after.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have any time to do any sort of practice, really.
I'm not going to
I'm
either,
gonna-
so don't worry. We'll all be shit together.
Because I got that job that's leading up to it. So it's
I like to look at the doc. Sometimes I like to have the cabinet on just to watch the attract mode. But I'm like, I don't want to stream this, and I always think to myself, well, I can't play it without streaming it, because then what if the one time that I don't stream it,
you'll get it. Yeah.
I'll get like a PB. Or
Just
I'll
record
get
it
that one
locally.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's still so much fart assing around.
Yeah.
So we've got Kong off coming up, which is going to be great. It's all, I think more than the games and everything. It's just been amongst
Yeah.
the Donkey Kong, all that community, which is like, all of us look forward to it every year. It's sort of, I call it my Christmas, get to hang out with the guys and have a good time. So,
Where are you staying, Dack?
don't know yet. No one's invited me to stay over, but the missus has come up as well, so I can't really
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I figured the missus would be
I'll suss something out. We'll get onto that shortly, I reckon. But yeah, quite exciting. So less than 2 months away. So maybe I will start playing Donkey Kong on Monday. Who knows?
Bugger that.
You know,
I'm retired.
Zelda's actually fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've played Donkey Kong like twice in the last 10 weeks or something. And when I did, I streamed it, and then I went, nah, I can't do this. This is not fun.
Yeah.
So maybe before the Kong off, I'll find that, incentive.
Who knows?
Yeah, to do it. If not, just play Zelda, have fun, and just come up and have a drink, and I'll still beat you, so it's okay.
Well, you're not right. Well, that's obvious though.
No, that's not. It's not obvious. Anyone can win a Kong off, and I hope someone who hasn't won it honestly wins it this
Yeah,
time.
me too.
Yeah, not Geoff, but someone else who hasn't won it.
I want Geoff to have like a soul-crushing defeat.
Oh, we all do. We want him to get right to the finals and then lose. That's what we really.
Yeah.
Nah, Geoff, if you win, I'd be so happy for you. Seriously, I'd be disappointed that I lost, but I would honestly be happy for you because you've worked hard and you've gotten very good at this game. But the same with Dack, man. Like if you won, I'd be so happy. I'm happy for anyone who wins.
Apart from Geoff, yeah.
But mostly yourself.
I've won one. I'm happy.
Yeah, that should be good. Like I'm hoping, if I'll be stoked to make qualifying. That's how I always look at it. Like if I can qualify, I'll be over the moon. Hopefully, not my first opponent isn't Matt or Barra.
Or Geoff.
I feel like Geoff could crumble under the pressure though. So I've got like a sniff of a chance if it's anyone but, I managed to come 10th last year, but then I was up against Barra. I was like, this is bullshit.
No. Tanya almost beat Barra that one year.
Yeah.
I died on the first level in the finals 2 years in a row. I died on the first level because what do you know what's going to happen?
Around.
Yeah, you don't know, and anyone can win it, and that's what makes it exciting. Is that you could be the best player in the world, and you could sit down and you just get a bum couple of early levels, and you're done.
It's all going to be getting streamed on the Netherworld.
That happened to the level 3 comp with me.
Yeah, like the Netherworld Twitch channel, and from what I've gathered, the layouts this year and the setup's going to look top tier, and obviously be something we're going to continue to build on each year and make the event bigger and better, and it's going to keep going down that trajectory by the looks of things.
Do you think?
It's an exciting weekend.
Do you think Phil will know because he's our main commentator? Do you think he'll know that the finals are on this time and actually talk about the game?
I think he's going to be pretty focused on a really good structure this year, so I reckon he will know what's actually going on. I think he's going to sort of have his coffee and talk shit, but actually have an idea.
I love the stuff he talks about. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's just like whatever. It's just his mind just goes on a tangent.
A voyage, a fantastic voyage. Yes, but I'm looking forward to it too. I can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
At the Australian Kong off.
Your third Australian Kong off. Did you say?
No, I said at the Australian Kong off.
Yes, at the Australian Kong off, hosted by Netherworld and what's the brewery?
Apparently,
Moondog, Brewdog,
Brewdog.
Brewdog.
I thought you were talking about the other hosted by, which was like
No.
does
Don't worry about
nothing.
Yeah, what's it? 77 Metroplex Avenue in Mirari, I think they call it.
Be there or be square.
And tickets are available on the BPAC 2023 website, which
As well as T-shirts and marquees and
come meet your
posters.
favourite players. Get an autograph from Geoff.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have a chance every day to meet one of the world's best Rygar players. It's the place to be.
And if you want me to sign your North Melbourne Football Club Guernsey, then I probably can.
He'll sign any part of you want.
You could hear my smoker's cough in real life.
Oh.
Like it's not quite the same when you hear it over the phone or via the podcast until you've heard that full fledged, like in the morning when I've been up too late having too many beers.
It's every day.
Yeah, it's an aura that I have.
Hey, Dack, you're a bit of a WWE man, right? Or at least you
I
were
am.
a WWE. You know the Undertaker's
totally.
streak.
Yes.
It's time for that at the Kong off. I feel.
Oh, for you.
Yeah, that's what I feel. The streak. It's got to start the streak.
Start the streak. Yeah, why not?
And I don't
Only
mean the streak where I take off all my clothes and nobody wants that.
Only streak that I've got on my bloody undies, mate. So, yeah.
You're the people's champ. That's what you are.
Skid Row.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
But I think that's probably good enough time as any to put a bow on this pony. So, yeah, obviously we will try and do at least two more, I'd say, before BPAC comes up, and obviously have a special episode after Kong off. So that's something to look forward to. But you can catch us all on Twitch.
Did anybody check the mailbag? I haven't looked. In fact, I think that email is going to be becoming inactive unless someone.
Maybe I'll log. Do we know the password?
I can't remember. I couldn't find it.
Can't you do a password recovery?
Yeah, maybe.
Before we go, I just want to say, I know we talk about the same things every time in these chats, arcade stuff. If you play other games besides Zelda, that last Jedi game that came out just recently, and Resident Evil 4. They're both fantastic games. I've played them since I got back. And, like, now is such a good time for video games, right? Like, sometimes you go 6 to 12 months without very good games. 3 fantastic games have come out in the last couple of months. Go out and get them.
Check them out.
I didn't get sponsored for that, but go out and get them.
Yeah, we haven't got an Express VPN sponsorship yet or Raid Shadow Legends, but I'm sure it's coming. Maybe that's in the mailbag.
Hey, I'll shill anything. Like, you know, if you want me to, like, some weird, I don't know, Korean game where you have to, like, pay money to unlock characters, I'll say it's the best thing ever. Like, World of Warcraft, World of Ships, I don't know, World of Tanks,
Ships, yes.
World of Tanks. I don't care. World of Dack. It's the best game on the market.
That's right.
Play it with your friends.
Okay, boys and girls.
Take care.
We should wrap things up. Thank you for watching and listening. If you're not viewing this amazing looking cast of Pressing the Points.
Ruggedly handsome devils.
Yeah.
That's it for us. Bye for now.
Now.